For a long time, my only exposure to fashion dolls was from under the aegis of the buzzing, monolithic CRT TV at my neighbor's house. We were children, like 5 or so, and I'd come over, she'd put something on TV, usually like Totally Spies or whatever was going on in the early 2000s, and she would be watching enraptured as I snuck off to chew on her Polly Pockets. It's funny, actually. I can't tell you what color her eyes were, what she sounded like. I only learned her last name a couple months ago, but God, I can still feel those rubber jackets between my teeth. As I grew up, this destructive and quasi-consumptive ritual came to define my relationship with media intended for girls. I really don't think that's a unique experience for guys. Still a better love story than Twilight, countless Justin Bieber jokes. I think One Direction was in the mix there somewhere. We take in just enough to hurt and then spit it back out as a weapon. I got better about it by adulthood, or at least less vocal, but I still rolled my eyes when my friend gathered us together to watch Barbie Jammin in Jamaica. In my friend's preamble to the screening, she explained that this movie came with this doll that she had gotten from the myscene line. It was this early 2000s attempt to make Barbie hip and trendy by putting her in New York City clubs and giving her friends named after New York City places. It was this attempt to counter the then rising star Bratz, so naked that it sparked legal fights that lasted until long after the doll line was discontinued. Jammin' in Jamaica, as I understand it, was a DVD packaged with some gimmicky place set, this elevated form, if you will, of a series of flash animations they'd been doing on their website. At the end of her explanation, very matter-of-factly, she explained to me that this was the only dolls that her parents let her have. That took a while to sit with me. I knew Bratz was controversial. When commercials for it would come on TV, my mom would comment that she didn't like the word brat, and I didn't like the fact that they spelled it with a Z. I was, however, dimly aware of this dichotomy between Bratz people and Barbie people, if only as an extension of class and cultural differences. But Bratz was, well, a doll line. If Bratz were your slightly conservative, a little bit sheltered cousin, I was expecting Barbie myscene to be your extreme fundamentalist friend. I was expecting to laugh at Jammin' in Jamaica for 55 minutes and then forget about it. But here we are. This movie is meticulously structured and surprisingly nuanced, and actually a great way to explore chiastic story structures. So, since I've somehow made it my life's goal to overanalyze things that no one else cares about, I thought I'd bring everyone together and make it everyone's problem. Strap in. So before we actually get into the plot of Jammin' in Jamaica, I want to get ahead of ourselves and talk about the structure. What makes this movie so interesting to me is the tidy and clean chiastic structure it follows. You'll hear the structure being called rhyming or ring structure. Not for me. Ring doesn't really imply the importance of the crossover point, and Jay tells me that rhyming is kind of lame. So I think the easiest way to think about chiastic structures in fiction is to think of an example from rhetoric. All for one, one for all. So as each constituent part of the phrase rises, like all for one, there's an equal and opposite descent after the crossover point. One for all. So a chiasmus may or may not have an actual discrete crossover point. Here, our example kind of falls apart, but you get the idea. There's going to be one point in the center of the structure that doesn't have a clear prime. This is, by definition, a turning point, so you can equate it with a climax. In the case of a narrative structure, A, B, and C might be scenes, groups of themes, any label that you can give to discrete parts of the work to compare and contrast it with other ones. Here is a very, very basic hero's journey-ish example. What I'm trying to get across is that A, B, and C are the same things under different contexts. So in our example, in Node A, maybe the hero is facing off against some faceless, nameless mooks, having a good time, happy and go lucky, and in A prime, the very end, he's fighting the main villain with the context of the obstacles and the tragedies that he's faced along the way. So I don't know why it took me a doll movie to realize this, but I had a revelation with Jammin in Jamaica that the image of the uppercase key is kind of misleading. There's no necessity that the cross point be at the 50% mark. Actually, when you chart the narrative structure against runtime, the end result is this weird, like, Freytag pyramid, like the kind they teach you in Creative Writing 101, where there's this big, long, protracted rising action, a climax, and then really quick denouement. So when you account for the crossover point, the end result kind of looks like this weird upside down he. Having identified the cross point, I was able to identify 5 nodes. Here, these are strings of scenes. I had a lot of trouble unpacking the thematic landscape of the movie, so I had to lean very concrete. While they vary in length, they're equal in narrative weight, and the movie does some pretty clever things to expand and contract these beats as required. So I figure the best way to go about this is to explain everything beat by beat and see exactly how things fit together. A. Concert ends in triumph. The movie opens in a packed New York City concert hall where the so unfortunately named band Urban Desire is performing the song Spontaneous Combustion. Its members are the Barbie Boys of the Week. There is River, who is the vocalist, lead guitarist, and Barbie's boyfriend. Sutton, the inexplicable but charming English guy who inexplicably but charmingly contributes record scratching to this otherwise completely normal rock song. There's Ellis, the timid backup guitarist, bassist. It looks like his guitar has only 4 strings, but he's strumming it, so I don't really know. And Rikers, the drummer. He's not as important. After establishing the boys, the focus shifts to Barbie and co. Barbie is Barbie, but she's deceptively dynamic here, so more on her later. For now, we have Madison, the de facto songwriter and manager of the band, Delancey, the sporty one, Chelsea, who exists, and Noli, who is a savant, question mark, interested in mysticism, bigger question mark, who's also sporty. Look, I don't know. The narrative silently but emphatically requires you to have context from the Flash animations and the other movies. I don't have any of that, so I'm just piecing together what I have. Sorry to any Noli fans who I've offended with my characterization, but this is what I got. Kind of an aside, Noli did stick out to me a lot because there's this compelling imbalance between the comedic timing and the writing, which results in these really weird comedic moments that horseshoe back around into being funny.
Ever wonder how many bricks are on this wall? 3,421.
I can't wait to see the look on River's face. You mean this one?
Anyways, Spontaneous Combustion is a fun song, and diegetically, it's like rocking everyone's world. People are flailing around, vibrating. The animation leaves a lot to be desired, but we get the idea. The message here is simple but essential. The band is good, and everyone likes each other. Turns out this whole concert is part of the beat-to-beat competition, this battle of the bands where they're all fighting for the chance to get a professionally recorded demo. Urban Desire unanimously wins the round and will be flown out to Jamaica for the finals. This moment of triumph is freely shared by the entire cast, whether or not they're actually a member of the band, which I imagine if I were in the band, that would be kind of annoying, but here it's a pretty quick and easy way to highlight their unity. You'll see in a couple of places the movie is willing to elevate scenes out of realism if it means getting a point across in a more efficient and fun way. B. Separation necessitates enterprise. The stark white snow and desolate streets provide a jarring contrast from the life of the adjacent scene. Barbie, Chelsea, and Noli mope in a coffee shop, struggling to find direction without the rest of their friends. Not only are all the guys away, but Madison has gone with them in her capacity as band manager, and it just so happens that Delancey and her family are vacationing in Jamaica that exact same time, which is just so funny, but the narrative does a pretty good job of lampshading this, so I'll give them a pass. Still, I don't really know why they just didn't have Delancey in the scene and have them all participate in the stuff to come, but whatever. Through a phone call, our heroes learn that everyone's having fun in Jamaica. So this is crucial. Everyone is having fun in Jamaica, but they're also happy to hear from the others. It's not that the others aren't welcome in this new world, it's that this new paradigm doesn't have an explicit place for them. This is an impersonal, circumstantial separation that kind of sets the precedent for the conflict of Jammin and Jamaica moving forward. Another crucial detail here is that the boys are roughhousing with Madison. This is a really clean shorthand highlighting the intimacy the band has with her. So the FOMO is just too much, and the gang decides that they're going to fly out to Jamaica and meet up with the rest of them. We're then shown this absolutely delightful montage of our heroes individually convincing their parents to let them go to Jamaica. Barbie has this KPI-laden board meeting.
And online testimonials I found from other kids our age say they were so inspired by their winter break trips that their GPAs climbed an average of 0.7 of a point each.
Noli does this infomercial pyramid scheme kind of thing.
Haven't you ever felt like the universe is pulling you in a certain direction?
And Chelsea does a reality show interview. God, it's not just me. Like, the narrative goes out of its way to make Chelsea less interesting. I'm not doing this on purpose. And then right after that, there's a less delightful but still really fun montage of them making money to afford the trip, thus removing all barriers between them and Jamaica. C. Joyful reunion. It's here that the setting finally resolves and all of our characters are on the same island. We get another scene of the band hanging out and focusing on the music.
It's kind of perfect.
So even without a direct confrontation here, astute viewers are going to notice the seeds of the conflict. This is such an interesting paradox to me. River's perfect world doesn't have Barbie in it. Our heroes arrive on the island and are already having a good time. River happens to call her, and Noli uses a ridiculously high-tech divider-mounted doxing device to track him down. Their reunion is genuinely joyful. This is another point where it would probably be annoying in real life, but I guess Delancey's already here, so there's no harm. But the stakes are high for the competition, and the band is immediately called away to some kind of band event thing, I don't know. Here at the end of this node, we have the payoff to the dramatic irony, and Barbie learns what we've already been made aware of. Madison is able to occupy both worlds, but she is not. D. Cycles of exploring Barbie's place in her boyfriend's life. Slowly and deliberately, we begin to dip our toes into the movie's core fun and games montage. The narrative takes a moment to explore the conflict by proxy through Barbie's friends. The imbalance that Barbie is feeling is widespread, not isolated to River at all. The other girls are disappointed by how much band stuff pulls the guys away. Ellis needs to step up and ask Delancey out. It's all very high school drama, but it plays a huge role in toning down the melodrama. It's like what I always say about the word again. These scenes are relatively minor, but they go a long way in establishing the scale of the conflict between Barbie and River, contextualizing it against these other smaller things going on. I also want to point out that Madison shows interest in boys other than River, which, if nothing else, demonstrates that she's not monomaniacally pursuing him. Barbie directly confronts Madison about her doubts with River, but Madison is direct and reassuring. I get the impression that Barbie and Madison are closer to each other than the others. I mean, no one else had a heart locket with their pictures in it, but I'm getting ahead of myself. This section is dominated by a cycle of discrete events which serve to explore Barbie's place in River's life. A neat emotional crescendo is buried in some fun sequences and very questionable soundtrack choices. What I love about this cycle is how rationally the characters respond to their situation. Remember, these are teenagers, so go a little bit easy on the word rational. It is rational that Madison and River want to focus on their work. However, River and Madison are demonstrably excited to have Barbie and friends around, so this allows for further interaction.
Middle school. Judges will be bored and we'll wake them up.
Yeah, you will.
So the guy said...
You go.
So the guy did tell us who's going on after us. Fortune Star.
Fortune Star? Oh, that bites. They're really good.
It is rational that Barbie is uncomfortable with this new dimension to her relationship with River and Madison. However, Barbie appreciates the magnitude of their opportunity, allowing for this relationship to develop. And it is rational that Madison and River find Barbie's discomfort alienating. However, this only brings the two closer together, worsening the discomfort in the first place. Again, this is cyclical. If this were a podcast episode, this might be a segment where Jay and I would recommend accordioning. You could expand and contract these scenes as you need to. Since it's a Barbie movie, this segment is all about fun and partying with your friends and the new play sets and outfits that you can get, each sold separately. So yes, Barbie is being unreasonable and annoying here, but that flaw isn't a weakness of the writing. It's an extension of mismatched expectations, highlighted perfectly by this inverted communion scene. So technically it's actually two communion scenes, but they're two sides of the same coin, so I'm going to lump them together here. First is Barbie's dream of River taking her to a romantic picnic, which is obviously a reflection of her possessiveness of River. The communion that Dream River offers her and the unity it represents is inverted since, well, it's a dream, and I don't really think they eat anything in the scene anyways. Then, Barbie wakes up and finds her friends outside. River does offer her breakfast here, a comically disgusting, soggy donut that she also doesn't eat. The side characters are then given some more time to develop and find the romantic partner of the day. They too get involved in the Barbie River drama, and I just love how they're obviously gossiping right in front of each other.
Okay, see ya.
What was that?
Nothing.
The main reason it's hard to completely dismiss Barbie's feelings is this scene right here. This oblique reference to this dream Madison had of her and River dating.
Hey, remember that dream you had about you and River?
Tell me that's not what you and Chelsea were whispering about.
No, not really.
I'm pretty sure this is a plot point carried over from the Flash animations. I'm really fixated on this detail because it forces you to play chicken with just how intelligent the narrative is going to be. On one hand, it's not a weird dream to have. You can dream about anything, really. But on the other hand, that is a weird thing to bring up to the guy's girlfriend. You could imagine it just being some kind of veiled catty remark. But it could come up if it were topical or in a social faux pas kind of haha, isn't that funny sort of way. Madison says that River is like a brother to her, but it always comes with these undertones of vaguely Byronian or Cassandra Clare-esque romantic interest.
Okay. A. Ew, he's like my brother.
I mean, you're not into him, and he's not into you, right?
Right. I mean, as far as I know.
This ambiguity is so compelling to me, and the narrative isn't even remotely interested in concrete answers. And I'm sure they did it just in case they ever wanted to pair the Madison and River dolls together in a playset or whatever. But I don't know. I appreciate a narrative that's willing to take risks that may frustrate its audience. When she finally gets River alone and he still has the band competition on his mind, Barbie confronts him. Again, I would agree that Barbie is being irrational here, but River is trying in good faith to navigate this, showing that he understands where she's coming from. Ultimately, though, he just doesn't have the latitude right now, since for all intents and purposes, his career is on the line. And by process, so is Madison's. E. Barbie forced to confront boyfriend and friend in union. I could have lumped this one in with D because technically this is still an exploration of River and Barbie's relationship, but I think this one deserves special attention for being the ultimate extreme of affection between River and Madison. The two of them meet up, conclude that they're just friends, and hug it out. And then, of course, Barbie walks in right as they embrace.
No way. No way!
No, Barbie!
So it's easy to write this off as a classic kids movie, simple understanding creates conflict moment, but I do believe this is at least subconsciously willful on Barbie's part. Here we fully explored Barbie and River's emotional disconnect and come to its last thread. River is ready to strike a balance in his life and declare the limits of his affection for the people in it, but Barbie can't conceive of River in a platonic relationship. This is upsetting to her, and she runs off as a form of regression, trying to escape this new paradigm entirely. Crossover. Radio wave. And with that, we've reached our crossover point, a ridiculous montage of all of our characters looking wistful and sad over a ridiculous rock song. River and Madison miss the concert trying to find Barbie, and the band gets disqualified. Side note, River has Barbie as his PDA background image, which, based off the shape and button placement, is probably something from the Palm 500 series, and my M500 sure doesn't have background images, so points off for accuracy. Once the song ends, we've had our fill of moping, and Madison finds Barbie. We go backwards through all the nodes that we've established, in all of 10 minutes based off the timestamp, so stick with me, they go by fast. In E Prime, Madison finds and confronts Barbie, and Barbie is no longer able to run away. She has to confront Madison and River's union. Then in D Prime, through dialogue, Barbie undergoes cycles of exploring her place in River's life. Madison makes concessions, too many and way too readily if you ask me, and ultimately they come to the conclusion that Madison and River are friends, and River loves Barbie. Then in C Prime, Barbie and Madison finally reunite. E Prime through C Prime are one conversation, but there are 3 distinct parts that mirror the rising action. We have the confrontation, the unraveling of Barbie's conceptions, and the joyful reunion. This goes back to our point about accordioning. In the original CDE, that could have been one conversation as well. This is just a function of how much time you have and what your priorities are in telling the story. In B Prime, having been separated both from each other and from the competition, the band has to think outside the box to come back together. Barbie proposes an unofficial after-party concert, prints out a bunch of flyers, and tracks down the music executive running the competition to make sure he comes. The echoes of her business formal board meeting in the first node B can be felt here. Finally, in A Prime, once again, Urban Desire rocks everyone's world. The executive offers them their own demo recording, and now united, the band plays one last encore.
I want to dedicate this next song to my girlfriend Barbie. She's the coolest girl ever, and none of us would be here without her. 2, 3, 4. You make me shit alone, make me shit alone, shit alone, shit alone.
Again, everyone gets on stage, which is really annoying and bad concert etiquette, but I guess it's okay because they're all friends. So, that's Jammin' in Jamaica, I think. Looking back on this, I'm not sure I did a good enough job selling the experience of this movie. There's just so much going on that I don't have the proper context or vocabulary for. I'm really frustrated. It feels like I'm still chewing on Polly Pockets, tearing this movie apart and only pantomiming consumption. So I've given up having a conclusion to this in lieu of calling in an expert. I've asked my friend who first introduced this movie to me to sit down for an interview. My hope is that her perspectives and mine will meld together and we'll come up with something that feels a little bit more authentic to the experience of Jammin' in Jamaica. I have to know if she shares my appreciation for the movie's plot structure, if she had any insight into Madison's dream, if there were any symbols or themes that stuck out to her that I was completely blind to. I have to know if I like this movie the wrong way. I made sure to wear a shirt with a woman's face on it so that it would send subconscious signals that I was familiar and safe. I was a bit nervous to get started, but I needed someone who had actually been the target audience of Jammin' in Jamaica. So thanks so much for coming out here. I know that you're something of a Jammin' in Jamaica expert, right?
I think, yes. Compared to the common folk, yes.
Got you, yeah. After I watched Jammin' in Jamaica, I was really interested in a lot of the things that it was doing as a narrative, and I wanted to bounce it off of someone like you because I'm worried that I don't have the perspective that I need. So I just have prepared a couple very easy, straightforward questions about Jammin' in Jamaica, if you'd be willing to kind of hash these out with me.
Yeah, I'm willing, yeah.
So, just to calibrate, do you prefer to characterize parallel structures as chiastic or ring?
What? Can you break that down for me?
So yeah, do you like things in a chiastic shape, or do you prefer to characterize them as rings?
Oh, are you talking about Booba and Kiki?
Okay, wait. Yeah, I guess kind of, because Kiki... No, I can't explain this. I can't explain. So, pick one.
Can you say the words again, but like slowly?
Chiastic or ring. Or rhyming, if you want to.
Chiastic.
Chiastic, okay.
Yes.
Do you find viewing Jammin in Jamaica through this chiastic lens to be elevating or reductive?
I'm gonna go with elevating.
Okay, wait, that's good. That's good, because I was worried that
Okay.
I was worried that the way that I was ordering things in a chiastic structure was being reductive in my full understanding of the narrative of Jammin in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm. So, like, were you worried you were making it too complicated?
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. So, something I struggled with when watching Jammin in Jamaica was identifying the thematic landscape and how it develops through the structure.
That's fair.
Can you just, in very brief terms, talk about the thematic landscape of Jammin in Jamaica? Anything that stuck out to you?
Sure. I mean, it's a Barbie movie, so I think that, like, the theme centers around Barbie and River's relationship, who,
Okay.
for the audience, River is like the Ken.
River's like the Ken.
River is the Ken. That's
guess
true.
so. I guess so.
mean, so I think that is what the movie centers around. It's not too complicated. And I don't think you need it to be too complicated. However, if we're talking about Booba and Kiki, which I don't know if we are, but I don't understand the words you're saying. So I'm gonna say Booba and Kiki. I think if you look at the characters in a Kiki way, I don't think it's meant to be viewed like that per se, because it's a Barbie movie and it's just not that complicated. But I think that's fun.
Okay.
To look at it in a little bit more of a complicated, broken down, like analyzing why the characters are doing what they're doing. So the main theme is Barbie and River's relationship, as well as the music, the art.
The music and the art is...
The music and the art.
A lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Another thing that kind of goes back to perspective, Jammin in Jamaica does relatively little to establish its characters ex nihilo and leans on secondary sources.
Okay.
In your own words, very briefly, compare and contrast this to early French naturalism. Let's say, as an easy example, Balzac's La Comédie Humaine.
I don't even know what we're saying right now.
So why do you like this movie? Why do you like this movie?
Why do I like the movie?
Why do you like this movie?
Is that what the question means?
Well, no, you don't think about whether it's a chiastic structure. You don't think about the evolution of themes. When I asked you about themes, you told me about River.
Yeah.
And you don't even know the spark notes of Balzac. Like, why do you like this movie?
Okay, why I like this movie, I think, is the lore behind it for me personally. So I used to watch this movie with my sister and my cousins all the time growing up. I think I've seen it at least 10 times. We watched it all the time. So that's why I like it. It's very nostalgic, and I think has one of the most advanced soundtracks of any movie ever. And I think that the people with a capital P are ready to admit that.
It's almost, and I don't mean this negative, it's almost kind of superficial. You know, you like the visuals, you like the sounds. You're not thinking about, wow, the second part of this structure perfectly mirrors the first.
Yes, exactly. Because again, it's a Barbie movie. And it's not even a Barbie movie, it's a myscene Barbie movie, which apparently no one even knows what that is, except for me. So no, I don't think it's necessarily meant to be looked at from like a deep analyzing why each character is doing what it's doing, why the plot is moving forward. Like, it has plot holes, yes. The characters are not well fleshed out, yes, but it's not supposed to be like that.
So what
but I don't think that there's anything wrong with viewing it like that.
So what the hell have I been doing? going through each and every individual plot point of this movie and talking about how it accomplishes things.
I don't know, honestly, but I will say I think that you are the first person ever to do that to this movie, and maybe the last. So I think that that's really important.
But is
in
that
history?
Is that a good thing?
Sure.
So you don't think that there's like a wrong way to watch this movie?
No, I don't really think there's a wrong way to watch any movie. It's all up to you. You know, the world is burning, and we could all die tomorrow. So who cares? Analyze it. It doesn't matter.
So nothing about French naturalism.
No, I don't think so. But I think it's really cool if you can find something to compare it to in French nationalism. Naturalism.
We're leaving that. So obviously there's a pretty big disconnect between me and the average Barbie consumer. But maybe that's okay. The only thing worse than destroying a toy for fun is insisting there's a right way to play with it. If my heart's in the right place and I'm gentle, what harm am I causing? Maybe the real best reading of Jammin in Jamaica isn't a compromise, but rather a synthesis of our views. Not me trying to take every perspective for myself, but understanding that there's certain things I'll just never have access to as a media consumer. So, I don't know. Now that you're done with this, go watch Key Ray Dynamite's video on this or something. I'm on my way, but I don't know what to do or where to go. I'm so nervous. I'm so sick. I hope I don't come off like a jerk. I went all out. I washed my hair. I searched and found some clean underwear. She's so hot, I can't resist. I don't know what I'll do if she gives me that first kiss. Spontaneous, combustion, spontaneous, combustion. I am busting right out of my skin. I can't wait to tell everybody everything. I'm busting right out of my skin. I can't wait to tell everybody everything. Eat your heart out, Ocean Vuong.